Hi artist, Miss Bachie here. We are going to work on some simple pencil shading this week. So you're just going to use a plain piece of paper if you have it. If not, use lined paper, whatever you have at home, and just one pencil. We're going to learn how to shade with just a single pencil so that you can get many different tones. And with those tones, you can make an object look three-dimensional. So the first thing you're going to do is just draw a rectangle, divide it into 5 sections. Doesn't matter if they're even. The first one's going to be the lightest, the very, very lightest. And if you want to add another block on, the actual lightest is white. So all you're going to do is just shade really lightly with your pencil. Do not use any pressure. You can go from the side too, but that makes it a little, no. You're just going to shade very, very lightly with your pencil. So I'm barely using any pressure here at all. Okay. And then the next block, you're going to get a little darker, so you're going to push a little further. If you look at my hand, it's way far back on the pencil. If you hold your pencil like this, you're going to make harsher lines. And we don't want to shade like this where we see the scribble scrabble. Okay, so you can see that this is a darker tone than this one. A little more pressure. Makes it darker. And you see how I don't have all these scribble scrabble lines. It's all blending together so it looks like one color. And you can go back in if it's not dark enough and add a little bit more. And then we're gonna more pressure on this one again. We're not pressing all the way down because that's our last one, is the darkest that we're gonna do. Okay, and then the darkest. So you're pressing the hardest. Okay, so now in your slideshow, I gave you this picture. So we're going to draw the shapes the best you can, and then you're going to shade them, and you're going to look at the picture. The light is coming from this direction, or from this. Okay, so that means the whiter parts are going to be on this side of the paper, and the darker parts in the shadow are going to be on the right side of the paper. So the first thing we're going to draw is a circle for our sphere. So I'm sketching out the circle. Doesn't need to be perfect. Next to it is our cylinder. So for your cube, start with this line here, which is over here on the picture. You're going to make a square here, and watch that the lines kind of go back this way into space, and then this way you're going to make another square, and then on top. And don't worry if it's not perfect. okay? Because we're not using a ruler for this. This is just practice, okay? Then you can erase the lines of the cylinder that are behind the cube, okay? So let's start with the circle, okay? So this is the lightest part over here. Actually, this whole side. If you look at it, it's really light. So I'm going to start with this line here. And I'm going to shade behind that in like this tone. Oops, I can't see that. And like this tone to start with, and then we'll make it darker as it goes back. So shade in the direction of the shape. So since our circle is curved, you're going to shade in a curving way. Okay, so now we have that done. Now from here to here is like another section, and you can do that like this shape between this and this one. Remember to make sure your pressure is very light. Good thing is if you make it too dark, you can always erase it. So you're pretty much just going to match the tones that you see on this picture. And then it's going to get darker the further away it gets from the light. Let's not worry about shadows right now because that'll complicate it more. Okay, so now you can see it's starting to look a little 3D. The more tones you add, using all these different tones that we have, the more realistic it will look. This part stays white because that's the highlight. So if the light's coming from this way, that means there's going to be almost a reflection on the sphere here. Okay, so for the cube, this is going to be the darkest square. This is the whitest, and this is in the middle. So you're going to shade again in the direction of the way. You can either do this horizontally or vertically. And remember, you can always make it darker. It's a lot easier to make it darker than it is to make it lighter. So start with a lighter shade and make it darker. And the same goes for our cylinder. The light is here, so this is the whitest part, and you can see that there's how it gets darker. Okay, so those are the basics of shading. If you saw, I kind of rubbed my finger on it a little bit to blend it in a little bit more so you don't see all the pencil lines. So, Okay, give it a try. Submit it to me on Schoology, and I will see you next week.